So welcome to Meet the Pros. Today we're going to be talking about how to plan in a constantly changing economy. Now, one of the hardest things for people in business right now is to predict the future. We really don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. A lot of people are like, a deer in the headlights. They're just stunned and not sure which way to turn, left or right. So I'd like to welcome our pros to the call. Welcome Anton, Emmanuel and Ray.
Well, good afternoon,
David.
So Anton, maybe we'll start with you. So how do we plan in a constantly changing economy? What's your thoughts on this?
Well, when there's a lot of avenues for change and a lot of things happening, the best way that we'll tackle it in marketing is by having 10 different ways to new business, so that if several of them become unavailable, you can always just move your marketing budget towards the other avenues to bring in the same amount of leads.
Right. So it's really about mitigating the risk by having more than one strategy running at the same time.
Exactly. Instead of seeing a lot of businesses close down because they only have the one avenue of new business, be risk averse and diversify.
Yeah, fantastic. So Emmanuel, what's your take on this? So how do you plan for a constantly changing economy?
In terms of planning, what I'd be advising clients to do is you sit down and do a good cash flow budget and look at basically what's coming into the business, what's going out, and look at ways of possibly minimising expenditure, maximising revenue, potentially taking advantage of the instant asset write-off. And if the business is not in a position to borrow, they can potentially, if they're not in a position to pay for the good outright, they may be in a position to borrow. By borrowing, this allows you to plan your repayments over a certain period of time, be it 3 years, 5 years, whatever it may be. So there's some predictability there in terms of repayments. So I'd be certainly looking at taking advantage of the instant asset write-off as announced in the federal budget.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way of maximising revenue and hence profits.
So can you explain, like when you say instant asset write-off means if I buy stuff, I get a tax deduction, right?
Yes.
So what sort of things should I be buying?
That's a good question. I mean, firstly, how the instant asset write-off works is 100% of the full cost of the asset is fully tax deductible in the first year of purchase. And that can be a brand new asset. It can also be a second-hand asset. Now, what type of asset you should be investing in is basically income-producing assets. For example, if you're a truck driver, you can look at upgrading your truck. If you're an earthworks business, you can invest in an excavator. If you're a dentist, you can look at buying another dental chair. Right. All these assets are fully tax deductible in your business in the first year of purchase, which is a huge tax deduction, and it's been designed to stimulate the economy. And I think it's a good way of doing it.
Yeah, brilliant.
Encouraging businesses to go out there and invest more in plant and equipment.
Yeah, awesome. So, Ray, what's your take on this? So how do people in business plan when the economy is constantly changing?
Very difficult. I recommend going along the lines with what Emmanuel just said. I reckon you should look at your figures daily and be prepared to change. Look at your rostering and how you're rostering people pre-COVID to now. How has that changed? Don't have so many team on now. Maybe alter the processes and procedures you do to get your widgets. So I think the other thing is strong leadership, making sure that, everyone is being kept abreast of what's going on. Have regular team meetings so that everyone's getting the message quite clearly rather than second hand or third hand.
Yeah.
So, but the numbers I reckon is the most important one. So I'm with you, Emmanuel, on that.
Yep. So really what you're saying is if you've got your numbers, you can make quicker decisions.
Yes, definitely. Quick decisions is the key.
Yeah, because I think like for a small business has one big advantage is they're nimble. And when things change, they can adapt to it really quickly. There's countless examples of people doing things like moving into mask production in Victoria. There's examples of people who've started to sort of do their online business and it's taken off. And the real issue with these people that have taken off because of COVID is when things start to go to what they call COVID normal, is that business still feasible? Does that make sense? Right? Because if I'm a restaurant doing home delivery and everyone's using it because they're stuck at home and now they're allowed out, do I close off my home delivery or do I keep trying to make it work? So, this whole notion of being nimble. Yeah, Emmanuel.
It's all about having the courage to do things differently, I think.
Yeah.
That's what business comes down to at the end of the day. Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. So really, like if you had one point or one tip for people in business right now about how to plan in a changing economy, what's it going to be? Maybe we'll start with you, Emmanuel.
Yes, to be adaptable and have the courage to do things differently, and most importantly, understand the numbers in your business and how they impact every decision you make.
Fantastic. So Anton?
My number one tip would be to diversify your marketing strategy so that it doesn't matter what sort of climate we're in, you'll be able to generate new business or prepare your marketing for the future.
Yeah. And even on that, what's interesting about marketing right now is you can try new stuff and you can stuff it up. And most people are very forgiving of that because of the nature of the market, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So now's a great time to experiment with new marketing that you've never done before without being judged too harshly on it.
Exactly, because you don't know what's going to work now compared to what worked 2 years ago.
Yeah, great tip. So Ray, what about yourself? What's your number one tip for people in business right now?
It is having those team meetings. So your team, because they'll be uncertain about what's happening ahead in the business, they need to be need to have some confidence there for them so they can continue to turn up at work and give 100% themselves.
Yep. Yeah, fantastic. All right, guys, look, thanks so much for your tips today. It's been really sort of insightful. Hoping people know how to plan for change in this constantly changing economy. And we'll look forward to catching up with you guys pretty soon.
Thanks, Dave.
Cheers.